I've had this song stuck in my head.
You gotta get down to Hooters, have a drink, catch the game, get yourself some awesome wings. It's the place to do your thing. You gotta get down to Hooters.
Gotta get down to Hooters. So you must now suffer with me. This is one of Hooters' more boring commercials, in my opinion. They have some bangers.
January is hot with the Music City Motorcycle Show and Expo 2006.
American Custom Bike.
I don't know, but I've been told Hooters girls are good as gold. Hooters sound off.
At Hooters, our girls earn their wings every day.
Hooters. It's not just a restaurant. It's an adventure.
There's plenty more where that came from. Today, we're going to ask, what is Hooters? How is Hooters? We're going to look at its lore, its controversies, the good, the bad, and the ugly. There was even a Hooters airline. What? It's going to be a hoot. Hooters is a 42-year-old international restaurant chain, which recently had a near-death experience but has thankfully been resuscitated. This year, in fact. The year is 2025, in case you're watching in the future. Hello, sorry about climate change. I am in fact personally responsible, so my bad. Anywho, Hooters is a restaurant chain, but more specifically a boobs and beer emporium. They are Breastaurants. Its USP is chicken wings and Hooters girls, i.e. women servers who look good and serve an enticing eyeful along with your beer and wings. The name Hooters references the owl mascot, because owls hoot, but it is also in reference to Hooters as in US slang for boobies.
And I believe it's derogatory to refer to a woman's breasts as boobs, jugs, Winnebagos, or golden bozos. And you should only refer to them as Hooters.
Hooters has lore, which I'm going to get into. But first, I'd like to introduce myself and my channel. My name is Tara Mooney, and this is the only channel on YouTube where all videos are written and produced by a cow. She couldn't be in the video today because she's actually at Hooters in Newcastle. She got the train up there all by herself. And yes, we do have Hooters in the UK. Only 3 branches, which I'll get into later. But anyways, if you like this video and subscribe, she might appear in the next video. Just saying. Don't mind me, just hydrating. The first Hooters was conceived in Clearwater, Florida on April 1st, 1983. It was founded by 6 guys who were just businessmen guys, you don't need to know their names. The ethos behind it was to create a place that they couldn't get kicked out of. The incorporation date was on April Fool's Day because the whole venture was a bit of a joke that they expected to fail. The first restaurant was built on the site of a former rundown nightclub. They purchased it at low price because many businesses had failed there. In fact, they even put up a graveyard for the previous businesses. And the restaurant doors officially opened in October 1983. It then got sold to a bunch of Atlanta investors the next year, and the rest is history, which I'll tell you about now. I'm gonna put this down. It's quite heavy. There were 2 key features that made Hooters boom. One, the chicken wings. Hooters didn't invent chicken wings, but they popularized their version. They were a hit. 2, the Hooters girls, of course. Frankly, this is the main selling point, and I don't think Hooters would be here if it weren't for the Hooters girls. The original Hooters girl is Lynn Austin, who worked for the debut branch in Clearwater, Florida, and appeared in the first ever Hooters commercial.
If you like what you see here on the outside, you're gonna love what you'll see on the inside.
The recipe for Hooters chicken wings is so secret, even our cooks aren't allowed to know it.
Do you know why our beer is so cold here at Hooters? Because we keep it in the refrigerator.
Hey kids, you want to do your dad a really big favor? Tell your mom you want to go to Hooters.
She was their spokeswoman. She appeared on billboards and in commercials. In fact, anything that had a lady on show to be a moneymaker, Hooters did. They started bikini nights where servers would just wear bikinis. Since 1986, they've had Hooters calendars featuring the Hooters girls, with signings taking place at some of their restaurants. Since 1996, Hooters has held the Miss Hooters International Swimsuit pageant. But the practice of almost exclusively hiring women has been met with opposition. In 1997, 3 men successfully sued Hooters after being denied employment at the Orland Park, Illinois restaurant. There's been multiple like this. Hooters have settled each time on the basis that they would continue to only hire female waitstaff, but create jobs for any genders like bartenders, hosts. Their argument is that Hooters waitresses aren't just waitresses, but also entertainers.
Hi, my name is Jordan from the Hooters of Noonan, Georgia, and I am going to demonstrate the art of hula hooping. First and foremost, you want to select the perfect hula hoop. Let's just say I'm as picky about my hula hoop as I am about my men.
Hooters makes you happy. They responded to the controversy with a campaign involving a character named Vince in order to show how silly it would be to make a business sexualizing men in little skimpy shorts. And the Hooters girls march on Washington. I guess Magic Mike wasn't a thing yet. Sexualizing women? For male customers, makes way more money. As they've stated in some of their job listings, we're looking for a few good men and a lot of great women. Let me remind you that throughout all of this, Hooters have maintained that they are a family-friendly establishment. To be fair, if you look at their earlier commercials, I guess you could say it's more oriented to family fun. But once you get to the noughties, the horniness, I mean, it just gets silly.
Hooters is the place to check out the games. So come and watch. The games.
Why? Look at this.
They were not subtle about it.
What is the opposite of the fountain of youth?
Look at how wise they are out there.
I wish I didn't have huge eyes and great vision.
Ethel, you look great.
You know what I can use right now? A burger. Let's go to Hooters for lunch. I'm buying. I'll buy.
Stay focused, man. We're saving lives right now.
I just threw up in my beak.
Before it was camp. Oh my god, the airline. I need to talk about the airline. So, I know I said that knowing the names of the guys behind Hooters wasn't important, but I will give you one name. Robert Brooks. He was involved since the 80s, but became chairman in 2002, and he is to thank for Hooters Air. So, here's some lore. Hooters had been sponsoring NASCAR drivers since the 90s, including NASCAR driver Alan Kulwicki in 1992. But then, on April 1st, 1993, Kulwicki, along with Robert Brooks' son and others, were killed on a Hooters corporate plane in a crash in Tennessee. I only realised when editing what a rough segue this is, so I'm not laughing at the tragedy, it's really sad. I'm laughing at myself and my lack of foresight. So then, in 2003, Brooks introduced Hooters Air, along with the slogan, "Fly a mile high with us."
Fares from $99. Hooters girls on every flight. All leather seats with extra legroom.
Well, I'm the lucky one here, working very hard today. Look who I have around me.
Fly Hooters Air!
Have you ever flown on Hooters Air or worked on an airline before?
No, definitely not.
So this is all brand new to you,
Yes.
right?
Here's some business analysis for you. This was just plain silly. There were Hooters girls on air, but because they didn't have the FAA certification that flight attendants had, they couldn't operate any machinery on board, like closing and opening the doors, or even pushing those carts, those food carts. They were purely there for vibes. So in addition to these Hooters girls, they would have at least 3 airline staff on the plane. So they were the ones serving food and drinks and doing the plane stuff, while the Hooters girls just entertained guests. So yeah, it's no wonder that this was a money pit. Hooters Air ceased operations in 2006, losing $40 million. The company attributed its failure to increased fuel costs after Hurricane Katrina and Rita in the autumn of 2005. It was also a silly idea. However, in fairness to Brooks, Under his leadership, the Hooters brand was overall very successful. Under Brooks, Hooters expanded to more than 425 branches worldwide, including Nottingham, United Kingdom in 1998, which is still going. Brooks died age 69, which I think is poetic, in 2006. So then Hooters was sold on to an investment company with a silly name like Changeling and Change Holdings. And when you ask someone who works there, what do? They go, we hold the holdings. There was a Hooters casino and hotel from 2006, which then became a restaurant in 2019 and has closed as of this year. And that brings me to the downfall of Hooters, the rise and fall of Hooters, the deathification of Hooters, the death of the death of the death of the Hooters. Video essay core. You know, everyone asks, what is Hooters? But nobody asks, how is Hooters? Well, Hooters hasn't been doing so well as of late. It has seen a decline since its glory days. Earlier this year, it filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Hundreds of locations closed down worldwide. Overall sales at Hooters of America shrank from $1.2 billion in 2009 to $678 million in 2024. But don't fret, it has been rescued. The original owners have stepped in and acquired more than 100 locations. To quote one of the guys, "We've always been America's neighborhood oasis, and now, more than ever, America needs us." So why is this? Why has it been declining? Well, in part, it's because the American bar and grill is on the decline in younger generations, so millennials and Gen Z. People want to go to places that are more aesthetic and good for posting on socials. Not to sound like a boomer. Is it also because society has progressed past ogling women? No. In fact, another chain of Breastaurants is booming, and that is Twin Peaks, which was founded in Texas 2005. And Twin Peaks also uses sex to sell bar food. Draft beer comes in dirty blonde, naughty brunette, and drop dead redhead. Uniforms at Twin Peaks are even skimpier that I don't think YouTube would let me show them. On special occasions, there are days where the waitstaff only wear lingerie, which makes you wonder, is Hooters too naughty or not naughty enough? It seems that Hooters was raunchy and scandalous for the 80s, but in today's context, it is too tame for the audience looking for raunch. Those people are just going to go to Twin Peaks and other more X-rated restaurants. But also, because of the name and it fundamentally being about Hooters girls, it's not going to win over customers who find ogling customer service workers skeevy. Hooters has unsuccessfully tried to get with the times. Like in 2017, in the wake of Me Too, Hooters opened an offshoot version called Hoot's Wings, which hired both male and female staff, and they wore regular uniforms. It was an attempt to rebrand as family friendly. I thought they were already family friendly. And its goal was to draw in more female customers. But it was seen as a failure. Only a handful of Hoot's Wings opened and most have shut down now. But then in 2021, Hooters tried to introduce a new uniform where the new shorts were basically underwear. I mean, I'm wearing the more traditional shorts right now and even they feel quite exposing. But anyway, yeah, these shorts were basically just pants, and employees took to social media to complain, so they then revoked the change. Hooters seem to be flip-flopping between, on the one hand, striving for political correctness and wooing female diners, and, on the other, trying to keep up with the sexual desires of its male customers. Here's the thing, Hooters has been a franchise operation, which is partly to blame for the contradictions in branding. You know, you'll have some branches that really lean into the bikini nights, whereas others host more children's parties. Some do both. But also, the fundamental branding is a paradox. Family friendly, and check out the jugs on that. I mean, it's in the name. So I'm not convinced by the founders' re-Hooterization plan.
For years, Hooters has been operated by two different companies. One owned by private equity that emphasizes the brand's sex appeal, and the other, which includes the original founders, that says the restaurant is actually family-oriented and always has been.
They took it and made it, sexualized it, made it shorter, almost shorter than hot pants. That is offensive to most people, particularly in a restaurant setting.
Kiefer says he plans to standardize the uniform across all restaurants to feature the original shorts.
I don't think you're going to see a bunch of butt cheeks hanging out.
Their plan is to appeal more to the masses, you know, like the good old days. One of them was quoted saying that he thinks it's sad that men can't go because their wives won't let them. And it's kind of like, was that not always the vibe?
If you like what you see here on the outside, you're gonna love what you'll see on the inside.
In this Forbes article, one of them tells an anecdote about how he had to meet a nun from his son's school and she didn't want to come into Hooters, but then she was shocked at what she saw. Inside, they found a few tables of kids who had just played baseball, a group of women who had been shopping, and some lawyers in suits on their lunch break. The nun was surprised by how wholesome the atmosphere was. I understand what you mean by this is what a neighborhood restaurant is all about, she told him. And then everybody stood up and applauded. But yeah, I am skeptical that in Trump's second term, they are going to be able to pull this off. Long Island's Hooters location has been cited as one of the recent success stories. But what about the locations in red states? Benjamin Sachs, a labor law professor at Harvard, predicted that a more conservative Equal Employment Opportunity Commission might mean laxer rules for businesses. I think we'll see less rigorous enforcement of the discrimination laws. So the issues that are innate to Hooters' business model might be worsened. We're in a political climate where conservatives are saying that Sydney Sweeney's breasts killed wokeness. You know, despite my reservations, there have been and there are women who like working there and want to work there. So there must be something about it that draws them in.
So what job experience do you have, dear?
None really. I'm still in college.
What kind of job are you looking for?
I want a job where I can work with my friends and make really great money. Maybe do a little traveling, be in magazines, and I want to star in commercials.
Well, that kind of dream job doesn't exist. It would be too good to be true now, wouldn't it?
It almost is, isn't it? Spread the word, okay?
Get on up and get on down to Hooters.
Amy Adams, Catherine Ryan, Chrissy Teigen, Naya Rivera. These are all famous Hooters alumni. Catherine Ryan won the Miss Hooters Toronto bikini pageant in 2004 when she was 19. Amy Adams worked there when she was 16. And looks back on it fondly. It was a really good job because at the time minimum wage was $3.85 and they were willing to pay $7 to the hostesses. However, Naya Rivera said, "I have nightmares about that job." Before I get into the controversies, I want to understand why women want to work there and like working there.
Men are gonna sexualize me anyway, so I might as well capitalize off of it, babe.
And I want to make it clear that when I'm criticizing the company, I am not coming after the employees. I read multiple accounts of ex-employees who said that they hid that they worked there because they were scared of being called dumb or bad feminists. And, you know, while I feel discomfort around the core concept of this place, I don't blame the women who work there. Okay, so firstly, the money. The money is good. It is better than other service jobs. I've seen people say that their health insurance is good, you can get grants and scholarships for your education.
I'm proud to have worked at Hooters. It taught me the value of hard work.
I am proud to have been a Hooters girl. It helped pay for my education.
Hooters taught me the value of serving others. I was proud to wear the Hooters orange.
And then, of course, there's the tips. I saw someone on TikTok who had been gifted a MacBook by a regular. You're not getting that when you work at McDonald's. That's where I worked when I was 16. You know, and some like that it is a woman-dominated environment.
Another pro would be the friendships you make. Like, I've met some of the best girls working at Hooters. My manager is like one of my best friends now. Another pro, I wouldn't say that I was like not a confident person before, but I'm definitely more confident now since I started working at Hooters. Being expected to come into work with your makeup done, your hair looking nice, it literally makes you feel good. It makes you want to be at work. On holidays, you get to dress up. You dress up for Halloween however you want. We have bikini days, bikini week. You can dress up for Veterans Day. It's just a confidence booster. And it has nothing to do with them in there.
And the most popular pro I've seen is that people grow in confidence. I guess it's a huge ego boost if you know that you've been hired based on your looks. Like, they have this criteria and you make the cut. You know, and then you're in beauty pageants, calendars, and commercials. And also, because the Hooters girls are so infamous to the brand, you know, some of them have said that they feel like celebrities.
And out of nowhere, a little boy comes up to me and says, "Can I have your autograph?" I looked around and I said, "Me? Why me?" He says, "Well, my dad and I were in the restaurant the other day and you're our Hooters girl." I love my job.
So here's a quote from someone who works at the Liverpool branch. I will not do the Scouse accent. "At the beginning, I felt out of place with all the gorgeous girls, but after a month, I knew I belonged here. Okay, so now I'm going to share some of my honest, unfiltered thoughts. You know, I have to acknowledge that as a femme-ish person, you know, who's affected by beauty standards, human feelings are going to creep in, like envy. It's like in Fleabag where she says, I sometimes worry that I wouldn't be such a feminist if I had bigger tits. But anyways, I am, you know, happy for people that have said that their experience there has helped them grow in confidence. You know, I want that for any person. But let's be real, that validation is superficial. And within a system that encourages objectification, empowers men to reduce you to your looks, and reinforces strict beauty standards.
It is regular and completely acceptable for them to fire you based on your weight, but yeah, you do have to keep up with it or they can fire you.
I've seen multiple testimonies online saying this. According to a TikTok commenter giving someone advice on how to get hired, the uniform only comes in a size small and extra small. Don't know if that's true for every location, but I have seen multiple accounts of people saying that your weight is regulated.
Or you get graded on your makeup, like literally graded. You're supposed to have a certain amount of blush, mascara, lipstick, it's something like that.
I just think the people hiring at Hooters need to get over themselves. You're serving chicken. This is ridiculous.
You can be served chicken wings from women like fully dressed, you know, like they're not gonna taste any different.
And I don't want to come off as like condescending, but let me do a little sort of armchair psychoanalysis. I just can't imagine that being in that environment is good for you. In my research, it said that there had been studies done saying that working in such environments like Breastaurants, you know, has an effect on mental health, like anxiety and body image issues. I also think just working in customer service is really rough for your mental health. I just feel like any job which is so focused on your appearance warps your brain a bit. So it's like how people talk about how models, despite being selected for their looks, can still be super insecure. Or like if you're an actor and your looks are important, that can really mess with your self-perception. But also it can mess with your perception of other women, because if you're being selected over other women, like surely that can't be good for you. And while some people say that they like that they work with so many other women and it feels like a sisterhood and yada yada yada, it stokes competition. Like I've seen anecdotes of people saying that they would get ranked, and even that Sydney Sweeney SNL sketch, the whole joke is that she gets way more tips than the other girls because of her Hooters. That's based in truth, and that just doesn't sound like the healthiest environment. So yes, while it's nice to see that women who have worked there say, you know, it's boosted my confidence and there's no one look for a Hooters girl, and then people use that and go, oh, look what Hooters does for women, look at how good it makes these women feel. But the thing is, they were selected on a very strict beauty criteria. It's confirmation bias. They already had that advantage. But what I'm trying to say is that just because this is an environment that benefits some women doesn't mean it's good for women overall. And the people who are loudest about their experience tend to be the more positive ones, whereas the people who have complained about sexual harassment, you know, have just been given hush money. Also, there's victim blaming. Women who have worked there and complained about harassment have often been met with, well, what did you expect? You work at Hooters. Look, I've got the socks on. I highly doubt I'll be wearing the uniform again, but I will wear the socks again. Customers can go to many places for wings and beer, but it is our Hooters girls who make our concept unique. Hooters offers its customers the look of an all-American cheerleader, surfer, girl next door. The essence of the Hooters concept is entertainment through female sex appeal, of which the look is a key part. When you are in the Hooters girl uniform, you are literally playing a role. Having been cast for that role, you must comply with the image and grooming standards that the role requires. No bizarre haircuts, styles, or colours are acceptable. Our look is wholesome, yet sexy. This is from an Employee Handbook back in 2006. And I'm aware that the majority of workplaces have a dress code, but I found the way that this was written to be very funny, so I wanted to share. They also mentioned how men aren't allowed to wear makeup, but women must. The recruitment process is like a casting call. They seem to be less strict now about tattoos and piercings, but you are very much still expected to look the part. And the way this has been enforced, not so great. In 2010, Hooters was sued for weight discrimination. The company objected that its waitresses are entertainers whose looks are a business concern, and the case was settled through arbitration. One of the plaintiffs alleged that she was made an offer for a free gym membership and was told that if she did not improve in 30 days, her employment would be terminated. Awesome. In 2015, a former employee was awarded $250,000 after an arbitrator found that racial discrimination contributed to her termination. Johnson was terminated in August 2013 after her store manager told her that she could not have blonde highlights in her hair. In 2024, there was a payout over post-pandemic rehiring practices after being accused of hiring back only the white and lighter-skinned women. The company argued that skin tone is subjective but agreed to change some of its policies.
Raina? Is that right, Raina? Compliment her on her lack of nails. My, those are some non-glamorous nails you have. Have a seat. Maybe we'll do a bean eating contest, all right? Maybe we'll get all the girls, we'll shove their faces down in the beans and have them clean it up, you know?
All right.
Suck her down, good times, all right?
Do they seem to like those kind of things?
Hey, no rules.
No rules.
Okay? Girls are spoiled, man, so they're all prima donnas, all right?
Okay.
And listen, I know that I'm coming into this with shit-tinted goggles on, but it does seem that historically, Hooters does not deal with the root of these problems. In 2004, it was found that job applicants to a Hooters in West Covina, California, were secretly filmed while undressing, prompting a civil suit. The company responded to the incident with additional employee training. I know this is a long time ago, but additional employee training? Forgive me for pointing out the obvious, but it seems to me that if your business model has to budget for endless lawsuits, perhaps the concept is fundamentally flawed. And I acknowledge that sadly, women are in danger of harassment in any workplace. I think what gets me about Hooters is the dishonesty around it. It's an environment that innately empowers men to objectify women, but they treat it like it's camp. Like, oh, it's just, you know, but it's more than just a hazard of the trade, it's a danger. They recently had an initiative where they posted in women's bathrooms a code word, angel shot. So this is a way for customers to communicate with bartenders if they feel unsafe. But what about the employees? We were taught that our jobs were less about selling food and more about selling the fantasy of the Hooters girl. According to Anderson, she even had to sign away her right to sue if she was sexually harassed on the job. It also says that if you ever file any kind of legal claim against the company, you forfeit your right to go to court and instead will handle it within the company in arbitration. The problem with this kind of work that's solely based on a woman's sexuality, but isn't explicitly sex work, is that the boundaries are so much murkier. I will admit I've not visited one, so this is purely based on research. From what I understand, strip clubs have quite strict rules with how you interact with the entertainers and security. You're not allowed to touch them. Whereas in restaurants, the exact same gazing is encouraged, but the boundaries aren't clear because it's under the guise of you're just serving wings. In this Atlantic article, a former employee described her experience as being thrown into a shark tank and recalls having men wait outside for her to finish her shift and being flashed by a customer. She told her manager and claims they said, "He's a regular and he gives us a lot of money." Brogan recalls her manager saying, "You signed up for this position. Look at what you're wearing." Hooters did not reply to a request for comment. Also, bear in mind that they hire teenagers. Historically, they have hired 16-year-olds. I don't believe this is the case anymore, but this story is from someone who was 17 at the time. Many of the customers are lonely men, and you might build a rapport with them. They might be very friendly and act kind towards you, but then they might start to push those boundaries. And I'm sure many of you can relate to that confusion when someone is making you feel uncomfortable, but you're not sure if you're overreacting. As another employee said, "At 19, I was just learning boundaries and how much energy those question marks take. Is that okay? Is that? Okay, that definitely bothered me. That was gross or mean. But would my manager care?" My managers, who were all men, were sleeping with the Hooters girls 10 years younger. And I don't want to paint all the managers who work there as creeps. I found videos from employees saying that they've befriended their managers. What I am saying is that the culture of Hooters is potent for all these issues. That blurred line allows them to use plausible deniability to keep employees from complaining. Women showing their bodies isn't the problem. Liking boobs isn't the problem. It's the plausible deniability. They want to have their cake and eat it. The common line about Hooters restaurants is that the customers just go there for the wings, wink wink. But no one's unclear about the Hooters business model. Sell subpar food, invite expect clientele to objectify the female waitstaff, tolerate sexual harassment, and present this all as a family restaurant where it's all just fun and games. Relax. Even on this TikTok on the official Hooters page, someone is openly horny posting in the comments, and this is how they respond. They know what they're doing.
They do have safety precautions because they know the type of audience that they're bringing in, and I just didn't feel just as safe here as I would feel probably working at any other serving job, and here's why. So at nighttime, the managers walk you out to your car, and they know it's because there could be a creep waiting for you to get to your car at night. I've never seen that happen, but the managers walking you out to your car definitely prevents that from happening. Like, I would actually get in trouble if I walked out at night without letting them walk me to my car. They'd probably write me up.
We need to talk about it because there is a thing within these restaurants, and obviously I'm sure anyone could guess, yeah, it's gonna attract some weird men. It's deeper than that. When a restaurant has a regular, you can guess that he's also a regular at any other restaurant within like a 20-mile radius. For some reason, there are men that will just go and sit at these places for hours and hours on end. And you want to know what happened recently, just a few weeks ago, at a local restaurant. This man left behind on accident. On accident, he left behind this huge note with all these different girls' names, their body type, build, do they live alone, what are their hours like, do they have a partner, tattoos, like all these notes about them. And this did happen at Hooters when I worked there. There was a man, he was really weird, he would sit there all the time, and he would like write women love letters and all kinds of weird stuff. He ended up getting banned, obviously, but the boundaries in which these types of people get banned, they can push the limits so far, because the truth of the matter is they bring profit to the businesses. So the managers don't want to just ban them until they are almost threatening someone. And obviously most of the girls that work at these restaurants are young, usually college age, sometimes even like barely legal 18, and then you have like low mid-20s. When I worked at Hooters, you were not allowed to walk in and out of that restaurant wearing your uniform. You had to have it covered up. And so if you're coming into work, you've got clothing on over your uniform. When you leave work, you're covered up. And when you leave work at night, if you're closing, you have to have a man walk you out. And none of the girls can leave like one by one, especially like you do not go outside by yourself. That was a no-no. If a man is not walking you out, all the girls are walking together to their car. But even then, usually a manager, a cook, someone is at least watching with the door open until you get in your car and you leave. Like, that's how serious it has to be, because it's extremely dangerous. And I'm actually relieved to see places like this starting to get shut down, because they are so dangerous for women, for young women, and they're extremely disgusting, and they just encourage men to be pigs.
And then they have the cheek, pun intended, to say they're family friendly. I mean, give me a break. So who is Hooters for? Hooters claims it wants to be more for women. Hooters claims it's for families, the kids. But let's be honest, it's for men. And me arguing that it isn't family friendly isn't because I'm anti-boob. It's the atmosphere, it's the context, it's the fact that it encourages lewd behaviour. Visible boob isn't the problem, like, you know, breastfeeding in public isn't sexual. But if at Hooters the point is to eat wings and be horny, I'd say maybe don't bring your kids. And in terms of employee testimonials, it's mixed. I've seen some say that they like that there's kids there because they prefer dealing with kids than creepy men. But then I've also seen employees state that the family-friendly branding is a ruse. In reality, customers were 90% men, and we only saw a kid every few shifts. I don't find it cute at all now. Just gross and manipulative. It lets them say, we're just playing around. Don't be so uptight. It can't be that offensive if kids are here. In this installment of Are the Straights Okay? We have some Hooters merch, including a Life Begins at Hooters t-shirt, an I'm a Boob Man onesie, and your crib or mine, bib. To be fair, these aren't for sale anymore. In 2010, the Orange County National Organization for Women, as well as 3 other California chapters, called for Hooters to stop admitting children onto the premises. The Bristol, UK branch didn't last very long. Only a year, in fact. There was bad press after they allegedly served a 3D naked boob cake to a 12-year-old. It's a bit weird, isn't it? And that brings me on to my theory as to why Hooters hasn't taken off in the UK. In fact, it's flopped. It came to Birmingham in 1998, but then closed after 18 months. In the 2000s, there was another push to expand in the UK, with the goal of opening in 36 locations by 2012. It didn't happen. Franchises that opened in Bristol and Cardiff in 2010 closed in 2012. Actually, it's not been a total flop. Liverpool Hooters is still going, so is Newcastle, and Nottingham has been running since 1998. So here's my theory as to why it doesn't work in the UK in the same way. So 1, we're not as big on the American style bar grill place because we have pubs, but also the kind of men that would go to Hooters would just go to a strip club or a nightclub that has shot girls, and it's what it sounds like. They're women who go around nightclubs and serve shots. Whereas in the US, you've got conservatives who are more religious, so they've got to keep up the guise of not being horny devils, but they've got to get their fix somehow. For a long time, Hooters knew how to sell just enough sex to be palatable to people like my Southern Baptist neighbours. There weren't any strip clubs in my town. There was just Hooters, and men could always say they only went there for the wings. Now, I'm aware it's Christmas season, and I've been a real commentary YouTuber Grinch throughout this video, hating on Hooters. So, you know, it's only fair I mention that they've done a lot of charity work, which is nice if you like charity. You know, and the rebrand does intend to take away a lot of the raunch and bring back more charity initiatives. I just think that with the culture as it is, I don't think it's going to take off. And I will say, despite all the criticism I've made in this video, there are obviously bigger issues affecting women than Hooters. I mean, teen boys are seeing extreme and violent porn that is breaking their brains. You know, I'd rather them go to Hooters than the dark web. And this does make me think that Hooters and like broy culture, so much of it isn't for impressing women, it's for homosocial bonding, like to impress other men. For my generation of teens, getting invited to Hooters was a life milestone. For me, it was second in line to the bar mitzvah. It meant you were embraced by the dudes, some who had tongue-kissed girls before, some who even lifted weights, heavy ones, not just the bar. Oh, the homosocial desire to be accepted by the boys. But yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts because I've said a lot and it's time for me to stop yapping. I've been thinking about Hooters and boobs way too much. I've been thinking about Sydney Sweeney's breasts too much, which sounds weird. Please don't cut that out of context. How Sydney Sweeney's breasts killed wokeness. It's a video where I talk about right-wing culture wars around Sydney Sweeney and how she's become a conservative beauty icon. So that is the first episode of my new show, Politics. And I've just come out with episode 2, which is about the history of how boobs have become so eroticized. I talk about booby beauty trends throughout the ages. I'll be having more monthly episodes coming out, so keep your eyes peeled. There's going to be one about the war on breastfeeding and one about whether boob jobs are anti-feminist. Politics is exclusive to Nebula, which is a video-on-demand streaming platform built by and owned by creators. Politics is my first exclusive series with Nebula, which you'll have access to. You'll also receive my videos early and get to watch them ad-free. You can also watch bonus content from your other favourite creators. I always enjoy Big Joel's rants about Jordan Peterson. Mooncat has a podcast on there where she's interviewed yours truly. She's also interviewed Tom Nicholas and Alice Capel. As well as bonus content, Nebula is a full-on streaming service with exclusive documentaries, game shows, comedy shows. If you're also a fan of Abigail Thorne, she's written her own feature film, Dracula's Ex-Girlfriend, and you can watch her play The Prince. I was lucky enough to see this in person in London with my friend Alice, but if you're not a Londoner, here's your chance to watch it. If you'd like to come over and support my fellow creators and I, click the link below or scan the QR code on screen. And because 'tis the season, it is 50% off at the moment, so that is $30 a year and around $250 a month. They even offer a lifetime membership, so you pay that up front and reap the benefits of Nebula for as long as it exists. Now, in case you're already a Nebula supporter, just so you know, you can share one guest pass per month. And this is with a loved one where they get free access for a whole week. There's a 3-day trial option, and because 'tis the season, you can offer gift cards. You can send someone over to watch Politics. So thank you in advance if you do go check out Politics. It's been really fun to have a show where I can just speak uninhibited about something I find interesting. I also want to thank my patrons for supporting this channel. You're a huge help, so thank you very much. And last but definitely not least, here is today's subscription pet shoutout. This is Foxtrot, a Chihuahua, and I'm in love. Foxtrot is a laid-back and loving little Chihuahua. He's also fairly book smart since he got his PhD alongside me. Oh my god, congrats. Never mind that he only knows how to sit and no other commands. Can't say he's street smart, but he makes up for that with his affection. He loves belly rubs and will fall over submissively for anyone who shows an interest in petting. Look at how studious he is. Oh my god, give him a round of applause. Woo woo! That's all for today. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye. Bye bye now. Bye bye. Bye bye now. Bye bye.